Maybe. Let's do this, Chiefs Kingdom. Despite the rumors, Patrick Mahomes' career has not reached its maximum. He's not on the way down. He's not over the hill like somebody is. But we're going to talk y'all through it. I know it's Monday. That's Q&A. Dan's on special location, so he's going to hook you up. How you doing, Dan?
Oh, last couple of days of traveling with construction and accidents causing even more problems on the road does leave you a little worse for wear at times, but I'm doing good, guys. Actually, we have a decent connection here. This laptop looks to have a pretty decent cam, so I'm excited about that. Not something you usually see a bunch of, so I'm doing good. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad you are too, because folks get tired of listening to me, and you'll get more of me just solo doing my thing here. Don't worry about that. You're going to get Gary. But nice to have Dan's perspective here because we have a lot to go over. And the thing that's on my mind, you guys know what happens if you don't know us yet. RGR Football's mostly Chiefs, but we cover the draft in depth, and we do touch on the rest of the league. We'll talk some crap about Aaron Rodgers and what the hell Pittsburgh's doing in a minute. But at the end of the day, we are Chiefs focused, and we've been doing this a very long time. I've been covering this team over 15 years, and it's been on and off 22-ish for me, either consulting or training guys that go in the league or things like that. So a lot of perspective here. Dan's done all the film work, and you're going to see him in some very cool places shortly. So be prepared. By the time the season rolls around, we'll have a few announcements. We'll have some new sponsors. All will be well. But the thing that's pissing me off, and we're going to start here. So please like and sub this video. If you're not one of us already, if you're part of Rogue Nation, start throwing your questions in the chat. We're going to get to those. But we're going to start with the topic of the night, and that is, this is BS. It's all fodder. Like, shut your TVs off. Don't listen to talking heads for the next month. When we get to training camp, it'll be real for whatever it's going to be real. You don't need to hear anything until then. Because Patrick Mahomes is not over the top. He is not done. He is not. This might be his best damn season. That's where I'm coming from right now. I don't know how you feel, but I think it's a possibility. What do you see?
The simple fact that we have to listen to guys like Ben Roethlisberger talk about Patrick Mahomes because he's better than Ben Roethlisberger could ever have hoped to be, even in his prime, about being 20, going into 30 years old. Oh, he's already reached and he's going to... No, buddy. That's not how NFL works anymore. And he knows it better than anybody else because it started around his time where primes start to get pushed down. Like, quarterbacks aren't entering their prime at 27. It's 30, 31, 32 for some quarterbacks where they enter their prime because it's all here now. Defenses are smarter. They know what's coming. They see it faster. They react faster. So you have to get more information. Physical prime is one thing. Mental prime for quarterbacks means so much more. And the simple fact of the matter is that when you get to this point for Patrick Mahomes, where now, okay, I've seen just about everything I need to see. Now it starts to become the prime, where you enter the prime of your quarterbacking careers, not like wide receiver, not like, running back, things like that. It's different. So this whole nonsense that we get to hear from now until training camp is all that. Just block it out. It means nothing, especially coming from a guy who aged out a long time ago and obviously probably should be in jail.
You're not kidding, for multiple infractions. I'm not going to delve too deep, but I agree with you completely. There's a charge waiting to happen if your last name's Roethlisberger. It's fine. You get what you deserve. Thank you, Jeremy. Nice to see you. Welcome in, everybody. The Rogue Heads will be here shortly. I think you nailed it on the head. It's that wheel, right? And it's come full circle. You've had the elite of the elite in Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce on the field at the same time, and you got to play cool games and throw crazy deep balls, right? And now you've had the, holy crap, we can't throw a 10-yard out and actually complete the sumbitch. Like, that's how he's gone, to almost to the point where I really feel if they can stay healthy this season and the emergence of Rashee Rice, if it continues on the path that we saw before, and I've seen nothing of any clip of anything in OTAs that makes me think that he is not well ahead of schedule for this recovery, it tells me that he's going to have not the same single-threaded, it's either lower to Trav or it's deep to Tyreek like it was in 18, 19, but it's going to be the ability to go big. And I think the focus that we've seen from him in particular, and Andy a little bit as well, is that they realize you have to go take that part of the field. Yes, they're going to try to take it away, and some teams are going to be successful at taking it away. maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers after some of the things they've done, although I'd argue it's probably not the best maneuver. But you still going to have your opportunities. And now I feel like after he's seen all this and he's come all the way back around, he's back to, I'm going to go force this where I want him to go. And that is over the top of the safeties. And I have guys that can run underneath it now. And that's, I think, where it gets into picking your battles, understanding the defense, and taking your shots more effectively. That's why I feel like this could be the beginning of what is his prime years.
Yeah, we have to remember that the last couple of seasons that he's dealt with injury. Patrick Mahomes, not himself, but sometimes himself, but also the receivers. 2 years ago, Rashee Rice was forced into the number one wide receiver role. Was forced into it. Andy Reid didn't want to do that, but guess what? He was.
Yep.
And honestly, it worked for the better. Andy, pay more attention to what happens with young receivers. They're physically ready to go. Just get them out on the field and let them be who they are. I loved the change that they did for him. So, but then last year, Rashee Rice, Hollow Brown got hurt. Guess what? Xavier Worthy is your de facto number one receiver. 2 back-to-back seasons where rookies that you're trying to slowly work into the offense have become your de facto number one receivers. That's not what you want to see from any way, shape, or form, how you execute that. So when you have to constantly go through that, and then, I mean, years before that, we're talking about Justin Watson, MVS, Juju Smith-Schuster, McCole Hardman. Like, well, what are we doing here? What are we doing? The wide receiver room now is better than it has been. I know that I have a tweet out there. I'm never going to delete it, talking about the most talented receiver room that Patrick Mahomes has ever dealt with. And yes, it's out there. Whatever. We all hit, we all miss. It happens. This is the most talented wide receiver room Patrick Mahomes has ever had. Depth wise, it is. So we can talk about how injuries impact every single team. But again, you have to be able to stay healthy. Your offensive line needs to have some continuity, and Patrick Mahomes needs to be able to trust that offensive line, right? Like we've seen, if he doesn't trust it, it's not going to matter. So that's what this comes down to. This year, everyone has to be kind of a step ahead. You have to be able to play better. You have to get to that point of getting better, but also executing the simple stuff. You can't just skip over the fundamentals. And I think that sometimes the offensive line skips over the fundamentals, and that's where we see the run game not actually take off, even though they should have players in position to make the run game pretty good. I feel like they miss a lot of their basic stuff. So right now, Patrick Mahomes is clearly entering his prime, and anybody that suggests otherwise should never be listened to, and honestly shouldn't have a microphone in front of their mouths.
Right. If you work for ESPN, we're talking to you. Okay.
Absolutely.
Go away. Say hi to Frankie. Appreciate you, FLDV. You guys, he did pick up on something. This has been a change, and I don't know that it's just YouTube. I think StreamYard is picking this up as well. I'd hope StreamYard would keep showing your names instead of your tags.
Yeah.
But we're going to get there, and we'll see. I know there's a ton of feedback going their direction already about this. So, hey, it is what it is. And, yeah, Sheffield, he did go there. And
I always do.
And I will back him up all damn day. So we are going to get to it. It is good to see you guys. Frankie, big contributor, one of our mods around here. Gary's in the house as well. Say hi to Gary, the OG mod from this channel. And if you don't know what a mod does, it keeps the Raiders fans out here. That's basically your job. And we appreciate the effort that you guys put into it. We're going to go down semi-chronographically because, you know, Micah gets in here early, man, to lay all the early questions. We're going to spread it around a little bit, and we are going to get there. You guys, if you want on the show, you know every super chat gets an answer. I know it's summer, so we're going to try to cover all the topics one way or the other, and some of it is just going to be outlandish guesses. We're experimenting with the feed, which I don't really like on this background now. I don't know how you feel, Dan. I'm more likely to shut it off, actually, because it's conflicting. Okay.
That's fine.
I like it, but StreamYard, put it in the middle so Dan and I can just split, and we can have the chat in the middle. That would be great.
Or let us move it. Yeah. That'd be nice.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll get started. Here we go. I hope you're doing good, Micah. Any truth or thoughts to the rumors that Rashee Rice was not the driver in the accident? If true, what does that mean in case of the possible suspension? I don't know. I have not read anything that is clear evidential of yay or nay.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, only the investigators are going to know, and I'm not going to mess with it because I will likely pick wrong if I try to take a side. But whether or not he was is definitely a difference in what charges could be there. If you're a passenger, you're not worried about anything, right? Because you're not in control of that vehicle. You could be probably charged with some kind of accessory to vehicular assault, but you're not the responsible party when you're not behind the wheel. That's by and well the way the law works. I don't know if that means that his current attitude is because he doesn't expect it to have a charge or anything like that, or maybe there's just not enough evidence. There's all kinds of possibilities, but in terms of the ball, what that means is the suspension is less likely, and that's what we've been hearing for months. Is that, hey, this isn't going to happen in 25. It might not happen in 26. We're going to have to see how the legal process plays out. And I think in this case, that's probably a good thing. Now, I'm not one to defend Chiefs that get in trouble off the field for no reason other than they're just Chiefs. But if there's any kind of question that maybe he wasn't the guy behind the wheel, then that changes things. And maybe that's what the investigation just needs to play out and we figure it out.
At the end of the day, we're all at the mercy of what goes on. We don't actually know. The investigation, if there currently is anything going on, which there's zero evidence to suggest that anything is currently happening right now, which is why the case has not moved at all in over a year. We haven't heard anything in over a year. Nothing has happened. From my understanding, again, this is my understanding. I could be wrong. He wasn't driving the car. Again, that is my understanding of the way I read the case, is that he was in the passenger seat. But the bigger problem now is you're an accessory and you fled the scene. So that is the big problem here. You can't flee anything like that. So again, I'm with Brian. I don't want to defend players that do stupid things. My thing about this Rashee Rice case is that he was hanging out with bad news guys that he knew were already bad news. Like they were friends back in Texas. He had previous exposure to them, knew they were bad news. They did something stupid. Does that excuse him? No, it doesn't excuse him at all. I feel like whatever comes down, he should rightly serve and have to face charges for. If that's what happens, that's what it is. But again, from my understanding, it's that he was in the passenger seat, but he fled the scene. So at the end of the day, we have to wait and see. Anything that comes out, we will have reaction to when it does happen, because that's one of our job, and because we'll actually have real information. Because right now we have nothing. We have all speculation and charges that were brought forward. So we have to wait.
Yeah, we'll hope we have information. Cross our fingers. Who knows? If it just gets denied until it goes away, that we may not ever know. Steve, nice to see you. Thank you as well. What kind of impact will Bossa and Chanel have this upcoming year? Well, I'm really hopeful that they're going to maximize Leo, because I think they've left a lot of his abilities off the field. I don't think they've used him to his fullest. And I'm not just talking about a 4-point stance fullback, which I'd love to see, but like literally teams are going to run on him, Dan. Like you and I both know that's coming. And so I think they could be in base more, and he may play not only more snaps, but be more influential on the outcomes of games because of his ability to stop the run.
Yeah, they're going to actually have to rely on him a little bit more, because again, we're kind of assuming that last year was a spike year. They don't typically care about stopping the run, and we've seen that be a very Spags thing. Well, eventually, I'm going to get you in second and long and third and long. Maybe I won't do it now. Maybe I won't do it later, but I'll find a way. And that's typically how it goes. It was much better last year, but the coverage wasn't as good, and you saw that play out, and injuries did that too. So I think Leo is probably still going to be in almost the same role that he's been. And I think because they added Bossa, it tells me they don't want to add more to his plate. They don't want to add more to Drew Tranquil's plate. They want them to be what they are. And unfortunately, for Leo, they're not in a position to let him be what I think he could be, because Nick Bolton is your green dot. Like that's what it is. I think Chanel could be a legitimate green dot. I really believe he could be. But they drafted him a year after they had Nick, and they said, oh, well, Nick's really, really good in lining everybody up. He's really smart. We trust him. And we're just going to keep him on the team. So that puts you at a disadvantage for Leo Chanel, because I think he can be more. He's very useful in the role that he's in, but I don't think they're going to be able to maximize his actual skill set because of the way that their linebacker room is constructed. And because of Bossa, granted, we're projecting Bossa a lot, but Bossa also was a green dot at Oregon. So he has green dot experience, former safety. They clearly were missing coverage in the linebacker room, like real pure coverage. But Bossa gives you more upside from a total linebacker perspective than Willie Gay did. So They're trying to piece together their linebacker room with 4 guys so they can just be situational. So they can say, situation, we're going to put this guy on the field. Situation, we're going to put you here. They want to be more situational dependent and not have 3 guys or 2 guys they have to play all the time that maybe aren't always going to be in the best position. They want to be able to have options.
Yeah. It's a really good way to put it. When you have 2 of your top 4, and Boss is one of the top 4 linebackers when he walks onto the field. It's not a question.
Yep.
Jack Cochran cannot keep up with him just based on college film. I'll tell you that, apple to apple, it's not really fair comparison.
Yeah.
But that said, I think that he has an ability to play more. Let's be honest. Nick Bolton is on this team because he's an extension of Steve Spagnuolo on the field. It is not because he's magically going to become a coverage linebacker. So there will be cases where you have to switch him out. And that's what Bossa is for. At this point, if Drew Tranquill doesn't come back significantly lighter, at least 8 to 10 pounds, he is the coverage linebacker because Tranquill took a step back in space last year. So this is what you got to remember. Drew's getting older. Leo, you want to use more of. And Nick's missed, 3 games last year and 2 or 3 the year before, right, with injuries. So you really have to have a 4-man crew at linebacker no matter what, just to fill in the gaps. And I think that's what Boss's role is going to be this year.
I'm with you.
And I'm comfortable with that. Micah, history has shown that CBs rarely live up to a second big contract. Numerous Chiefs, pods, and media are saying that we should trade McDuffie and not spend $30 million or he will cost. I think numerous Chiefs, pods, and media are stupid. The guy can do it all. The only reason you let L'Jarius Sneed go is because of his left knee. That's it. He was that good. Trent McDuffie is better. You don't let those guys go. Look at what happened. Now, 10 years into his career, Ramsey's still getting traded around because you can't get that talent in every draft. You can't get those guys that transition to the league and don't skip a beat. That is just silly. And that's what podcasters that don't know the game or haven't covered this league that long don't see the longevity of it, just how rare McDuffie is.
Maybe if he was a pure outside guy, I could understand it. If McDuffie was a pure outside guy, you come in, you say, look at what the Chiefs do defensively. It's more of funnel to the middle. You blitz guys here. Your corners on the outside are really asked to just cover like a fourth of the field that way. Inside, not really your job. Trent McDuffie does everything. Plays inside, he blitzes, he plays outside. We can see him cover one. He played man coverage against a lot of teams' number 1 receivers last year. He kicks inside, he plays nickel. You pay those guys. You pay them. And not only is he that, he's an all-pro in 2 positions, nickel and on the outside. He was an all-pro, okay? This is not a guy who had an all-pro season at nickel, kicked outside and was like top 10, top 15. No, he's an all-pro. You pay those guys. The cap is going up every single year for a reason. Patrick Mahomes is going to restructure rip up his contract, give himself a new one, so they can always find ways to create money for guys that deserve to be paid. And Trent McDuffie is one of those guys. Anybody that says that they should trade him because the cap's getting constrained, they got too many guys that they're paying already. You find ways to pay these players. They are foundational franchise players. Chris Jones, Trent McDuffie. You have, in the Chiefs' eyes, Nick Bolton, Creed Humphrey. They're going to pay Trey Smith, Patrick Mahomes. But this is what you do. It just is because of the way that the cap is currently constructed and is going to continue to go up because of the new media deals. We are seeing Netflix, YouTube, NBC all buying reserve playoff games, individual games. That's going to make it go up even more. And plus, let's just talk about when Trent McDuffie does sign his contract, when the cap explodes in a few years, and he's already underpaid. He's already going to be underpaid. This happens. Don't let the moment of the right now get in the way of the future when these contracts look different because other teams, other players are getting paid more.
Yeah, it's constantly churning. And I feel like because of the money in particular, even the streaming money, that it's only picking up pace of how big the leaps are and how often they are. Your investment, and it does come down to the guy as well. Trent McDuffie is a unique specimen. If you're in the room, if you're in the building and you know Trent McDuffie, it makes it a whole lot easier to spend that money and not be concerned. Living up to a second contract, that's fair. Guys get worn down. They have all kinds of problems, whatever it happens to be. He is still like the left arm of Steve Spagnuolo and Dave Merritt. Like, that's how good he still is. And he hasn't reached his peak yet. His ceiling is still up. And I think that's part of the math as well. Great question, Mike. I appreciate you. Happy 4th to you, Scott, and to everyone. I hope you guys are planning for some fun and some cookout. I definitely will be. Manny Lane over at KCSN, our good pal who joins us on the summit every year, most years anyway. In a video describing the Chiefs should stop running or reduce running 3x1s, flood concepts, because the defenses have figured them out. The flood concepts, I mean, it depends how you do them. Defensive has figured out a way to beat them. And without the athleticism that they have now, they've been successful doing it. I don't necessarily think that they've beaten all ways to flood them. And I'll tell you this. Why did WASP work? Because of what you had run all season. I think there are variations of it you can still use. Maddie's got a good point, in my opinion. It has been overused, but that's because of the guys running it. I think as the wide receiver talent has increased this offseason, I think the likelihood to be able to be successful with 3x1s is still there.
Here's the thing. If the Chiefs were not going to be able to create explosives, sure, you need to change things up. But if you can actually get back to running explosives, defenses can't squat on underneath flood concepts. They can't squat because if they do, guess what? You're going to hit them down the field on one of these other routes. They can't predict it. So I understand where he's coming from, but we have to be able to project the offense at getting more explosive. Being better at creating explosives. Honestly, last year, they moved a lot from 3x1s to 2x2. And it was you saw that happen later in the season too. So that was an adjustment off of the 3x1s because Andy Reid, again, another reason they kind of focused on it is because of the injuries. 2 years ago, you had injuries at wide receiver that forced Travis Kelce, to be that guy, Rishi Rice to be that guy. Last year, the plan was for Rishi Rice to be that guy. Guess what? He got hurt. Travis had to go back to doing that. They moved him, Xavier Worthy, to these 3x1s. They used Juju a little bit here and there, but the injuries have forced them out of what they want to do and then thrown them back into what everybody can run. That's the thing here is that you have to get on the same page with what everybody can run. If you want to run a different offense, Tywood Brown and Rasheed Rice, but you can't because you have the same guys now, and you have to teach Xavier Worthy how to do more. You have to lean on what everyone is taught from the base fundamental level. So I don't disagree at all. But if the Chiefs can actually become more of an explosive offense, even back to 2022's version, these flood concepts will be able to be just fine, especially if you can attack deep down the field with the 3x1 formation and still hit on underneath routes.
Well, and I'll tell you too, the unique thing about the 3x1s, especially now when you have Xavier taking a step forward with his route running and recognition as well, not just his physical capabilities. The thing that I think has been lacking the last 2 seasons in particular is being able to attack between the hash marks, to get, especially when you get split safeties, to hit it on time in the middle where you can take advantage of it, whether it's a deep over, a seam route, whatever you're going to do, but you got to attack the middle better. And I don't think they've been doing that very well. I think the 3x1s are integral to doing that because the stacks can, but it just gives you an advantage and it puts them into a defensive posture that I think overall this group of receivers is better capable to take advantage of one way or the other.
And at the end of the day, your one on the 3x1 has to be able to win one-on-one coverages.
Yes.
And if it's a lesser version of Travis Kelce like it was last year, or a rookie that's still learning the offense, there's not as much happening on that side. So you can shut that down and just focus on the three side and just say you're not going to throw it to the opposite side because you don't trust them to be where they're supposed to be.
Yeah. And you're going to hear a lot of people talk. You're going to hear some pretty big names talk absolute nonsense about how the Chiefs are not able to put a full offense on the field because they don't have a true X. Guess what? Andy doesn't run true X's. It's only been that way since before Matt Harmon was in diapers. So stop telling me this crap about they're not ready to perform. Rasheed Rice can beat one-on-one coverage outside, especially if he's the one. If you stack him, he's only going to make it that much more difficult now that you have speed to burn of both the guys on the trio side in front of him. It's too easy at this point. And yes, they all look similar. They all run routes out of the slot. Okay, great. Everybody can go outside too. I don't listen to any of that garbage.
It's one of the things that's always frustrated me is I understand like the Nico Collins, the big, Drake Londons. It's cool to have those players. It's very cool. And a lot of offenses still run where you have to have a true X receiver. And again, it took me a while, but you guys heard me this offseason. And he doesn't care. He's not going to care. Do I think that he should run some different concepts? Sure. But that doesn't require an X receiver. It does not require a guy that has to be able to win one-on-one coverages in terms of going up and getting the football or just running digs over the middle of the field. That's not what today's football is about. It's cool. It can be fun to see DK Metcalf go down the field. But you want to know what? He sucks as a go and get the football receiver. For a guy his size, he plays weak at the point of attack. He just is. He's weak at it. But guess what? The Chiefs don't need to worry about that because Andy relies on scheming it up. He relies on guys using their best assets in the best way. And Patrick makes everybody better. So let's just kind of chill on you need an X receiver to maximize your offense. It doesn't work that way anymore.
Sorry, Kurt, this is not aimed at you. I just when I hear nonsense, I like to call it out. And it's summertime, so I'm going to call out the big names that are just saying dumb stuff because they're not doing the prep that they ought to be doing before they say some of these things. And kudos to those guys. National guys have a tough life. If you're somebody that has to cover the entire league, I've done that. It's difficult to pay enough attention to have enough of informed opinion about 32 teams that maybe you saw 4 ball games and you got a quarter of the league watched on a given week, right? And you just got to rotate it because there's just not enough hours in the day. But I will say this. At the end of the day, Andy Reid wants routes to be won in the first 5 yards, not at the catch point. And that's the bottom line, and it's never going to change. So I don't care if you get, for me, releases are the number one thing. But if you have to out physical somebody, or if you just have to have better physicality and athleticism, fine. He doesn't care. And Mahomes certainly, I think, will have more of a green light to just throw where he wants to throw, regardless of it. He's not going to throw up iffy balls. I mean, and iffy balls, I mean by like a guy that is clearly covered.
Yeah.
He will throw up iffy balls because he's getting pressure or he just thinks he can complete it. I think the no look comes back this year, but that's just me. Maybe I'm being overly aggressive, but I've done worse. Kurt said, when the Chiefs get the Smith contract done, who or what positions are you bringing in? I say DT or a left guard. So, I think I'm optimistic they're going to get Trey Smith done. I'm not certain. And I just want to set that up before Dan answers the big question of what are you going to go get once you have some cap space?
Nothing. There's nothing out there for you. Like there's nothing out. If there was a real itching to get somebody signed, then she would have done this already. This would be done. But they don't care. They don't seem to care about it. And again, I'm not confident this contract's getting done, guys. Like I've been very iffy since the day they said, "Hey, we're optimistic. We hope." No, that's not an organization that's telling you they're going to get this contract done. That's an organization that's telling you, "Oh, we forgot something."
We're going to try. We know you love this guy. We're going to try. Yeah. I'll say this though, the bigger need for me is definitely a D tackle. I think there's a question we'll get here to about a certain rookie defensive tackle, but overall, I don't know that there's enough rotation in there to continue to take attention off of George Karlaftis. And George Karlaftis is coming along, and he does look a little bit quicker from the couple of clips that I've seen, but he's still not a take on the double team and win successfully consistently guy. He needs a one-on-one matchup. So you need the interior to be able to pull that. So we'll keep doing that. I am optimistic, maybe more so than most, of Kingsley being the left guard.
Yeah.
In a pinch, I think they have Norzad just kind of waiting around for a job. So I don't know, even if they got the cap space, if they'd be looking to go try to acquire a left guard. I think the push would be to trade for a defensive tackle that has pass rush ability, but can stay on the field so that Norman Lott can just rotate on, and they don't have to try to put him in a run defense position early.
That's fair. I think that, again, we're hoping, right? We're hoping at run defense tackle because there's not a lot out there, and the Chiefs don't have a ton of answers on the roster.
Yeah, I think it would have to be a trade at this point. Thanks, Kurt. Thanks, Lee. Nice to see you. Have you heard anything about when all the second-round guys, including Norman Lott, will sign? I haven't heard a peep about signings. Have you?
No, they won't be signing anytime relatively soon, I don't think. Maybe before training camp, because it would be weird if all these second-round picks didn't get their contracts before training camp. But we talked about this last week, where they're all going to be, once one gets done, they're all going to fall. Like, that's what this is going to be, because you guys can thank Carson Schlesinger and Jaden Higgins. And actually, you think the Texans and the Browns because they screwed everybody over by giving those fully guaranteed contracts. Because now I'm a second round pick too.
Yeah.
Pick too.
Pay me.
We all deserve it.
Yep. I want guarantees. I would be doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Whether I was the guy or the agent, either way. Brad, nice to see you. What do you guys think about Jonnu Smith and Jalen Ramsey, the Steelers situation? I don't think it makes it will make against
Probably
the
a
Chiefs.
difference.
Yeah. I think honestly, I think the more important thing in this piece is Jonnu Smith. I think to have another target inside who can get vertical on the seam for Aaron Rodgers is more important than having Jalen to what is already a very good defense. Does Jalen Ramsey make it better? Absolutely. But I don't think it makes it like the differential isn't as huge for me.
Well, they traded away Minka Fitzpatrick in the process too. I don't think they got better. I don't think they got better defensively. I think that they're the same. Jalen Ramsey's awesome, but he hasn't exactly like they got older, and unless you're going to play him in the exact same position, you kind of got worse. Like he's going to play nickel for you.
Didn't this trade go down in reverse 5 years ago when they acquired Minka from the Dolphins?
Something like that.
Or am I losing it? They traded him right back.
Well, Ramsey was with the Rams, and then he
No, I mean they got Minka from the Dolphins, right?
Oh,
and now
yes, they did originally. Yeah, they sent it back. This whole thing is weird. The Steelers believe that Aaron Rodgers, and by the way, this is not Mike Tomlin. This is Khan. Tomlin has and nothing close to what he would want from what we've seen. We have 20 years of Mike Tomlin, essentially. This is nothing that he's ever done. I don't believe this is him. I think this is Khan saying, hey, Aaron Rodgers, come win me a Super Bowl. But guess what? Aaron's cooked.
Yeah.
And Jonnu Smith is a fine player, but Arthur Smith said no. If you're going to trade with the Dolphins, get me my guy. Get me my guy, which hurts, Pat Fryermuth's ability. Darnell Washington, basically an extra offensive lineman, which I told you guys was going to happen when he was drafted.
Right.
This is weird. This is a weird situation because, again, I think that the Steelers are the exact same team that they were yesterday, but maybe a bit older and possibly less versatile. But it doesn't help you. It does not help your chances at winning a Super Bowl by trading away Minka Fitzpatrick for Jalen Ramsey, and then you get Jonnu Smith in a pick. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It's lost. I'm lost.
I'm with you. Decision making. I got nothing. Nice to see you, Jeremy. I'm trying to remember everybody's actual names because don't change your avatars or I'm going to mess it up now that the tags are on. OTAs are done. What is there to keep an eye on until training camp? Well, a couple of things. We are officially on Trey watch. We have 2 weeks and a day from tonight when that has to be done. It is July 15th is the deadline. That'll consume us pretty good. The other thing to do is start paying attention around town. Like I know for a fact that Patrick's been doing a ton of his shoots in the last 2 weeks. Somebody I know has worked on him 3 times in the last 2 weeks in terms of commercial shoots, that kind of thing. A lot of the big names are going to be doing a lot of that. Hopefully they're doing it close to home and they're not doing it in Europe or something, right? Watch for where you see guys. I'm not one that follows the social aspects. I don't know where Travis and Taylor were last night. But if you see that it's, we went on a trip to China and crap like that, then you can start to have some concerns. I would keep an eye on that. And if you hear any other big rumors or big real talk about, they've been forecasting this Ramsey trade for what, 3 weeks? If you start hearing about defensive tackle that might be all of a sudden available, the Chiefs are likely in on it. So that's what I'd be paying attention to. Anything on your mind?
Not really. Again, it's most players are going to be in the United States. Most of them are going to be here. If they're not relaxing, then they're out working. They're getting workouts in, meeting up with teammates, trying to get work in. For me, I don't have very much to go off of because I'll be very honest with you. I don't care about what they do from OTAs to training camp. I really don't. Again, unless you're flying around to China and messing around and being crazy. But I know Travis isn't because he's been at tight end U for the past week, and him and Taylor and George Kittle and everyone's been having a fantastic time at tight end U. I love that stuff. So otherwise, I don't care.
Okay. Hey, you said it a lot easier. I took too many words to say the same damn thing. Some bitch. Gary, Badger, Bossa, and and the Clemson tight end, Brenningstool. Um, Mike and Dan, I feel is their tight end. Mike, is that another guy? Dan, I feel is there 3 UDFAs that can make the team this year. What do you think?
I mean, there's always possibilities for these UDFAs to make it. In the Clemson tight end, thinking of as Jake Brenningstool. But Bossa was a draft pick,
Draft
so
pick.
that's
He'll
pretty
make it.
much out for there. Yeah, he's going to make it. But I think the two guys you gave have a decent shot. Granted, wide receiver is going to be tough. There's one spot. We all know there's one spot, and it's going to be, in my opinion, you guys. Last week I did my camp battle stuff. Like there's going to be like 5 positions that I'll have my eye on for in training camp. Wide receiver, 6 positions, 1, and Tyquan Thornton kind of is starting to make more sense as the last guy. As much as I like Nico Remigio, I think Nico is a really good return man. But what does he give you on the field? And I'm not saying that Tyquan Thornton gives you a ton on the field. I'm not here to say that.
Right.
What he gives you is a vertical option that Andy Reid is going to value a little bit more than what Remigio gives you. That's all I'm saying. So that's something I'm watching. If Badger can outperform them both and give you special teams upside, then he's going to have a shot.
I think the key for Nico is probably Rashard Smith.
Yeah.
Because if he can handle return duties, I
Yeah.
think that takes Nico down a notch.
And the fact that Taekwon's been practicing in OTAs as a gunner, again, it hurts Nico's chances because that's more flexibility that Tyquan Thornton gives you also as a backup return man. So there's a lot of special teams play that's going to make a big impact here.
Yeah, I agree. But one thing I will say, and I've gotten this question a little bit while I was gone, and folks, if you don't know, I've been traveling a lot and Dan's been minding in the shop and doing a hell of a job with it. I don't think, honestly, with the offensive line situation, the defensive line situation, there's no way in hell that they can keep 7 receivers.
Yeah.
It would be a bad sign if they did. What we saw them when they kept 7 was a lot of betting on upside that never happened. I don't think Sky Moore makes this roster. I don't think Justin Ross makes this roster. And Sky at least has an argument, I mean, that he's played and he's played multiple roles and he's caught touchdowns in Super Bowls, for God's sake.
Yeah.
I think they'll both make it back to the practice squad, to tell you the truth.
No, you're not wrong. It's tough out there. There's lots of talent at wide receiver, and honestly, with the UFL, guys that have actual more in-game experience are going to be finding themselves on rosters and practice squads over guys that have been fighting for years and haven't been able to. So it's tough out there.
Yeah, it's a rough life for a wide receiver. Gary, thank you for the question, for always being here and being with us. Appreciate you, buddy. Brad, I heard a comment that Ben Roethlisberger was saying on his, which was complete bullshit. Yet, what he said, and I think Patrick is ready to prove everybody wrong this season. Yeah, I think Patrick's to the point where he kind of rolls his eyes at some of this like derogatory stuff, but at some point, you hear it enough, you're just like, all right, fine, hold my beer. Let me remind you who QB1 is, and we'll get back to this. Scotty, Mahomes almost as many Super Bowl rings as Aaron Rodgers has conference championship losses. Yeah, he's really getting there, right?
And he's not going to have another one on his resume. He's not going to get to a conference championship game in Pittsburgh. Like, that's not going to happen.
No, it's going to be pretty ugly. Do you think Roethlisberger is jealous of Patrick Mahomes because they 3 times they played each other? I think he's jealous that he's not a relevant thing anymore. I don't know about you, Dan.
Whenever you have the opportunity as somebody who used to be good at the sport to come out and talk about players that are currently in there that are better than you ever were, they're going to talk derogatory for the most part, especially if the legacy you leave is tainted. And that's exactly what it was. I mean, you say what you want to about Ben Roethlisberger in his prime. He was a good quarterback. He was. It's tainted because of the choices you made as a person. And it could be very well the same for a lot of players in the NFL right now. I mean, we don't know. But at the end of the day, we remember what it looked like when you were at the end of your rope. And that's the lasting image that most fans remember Ben Roethlisberger for. It's what most people remember the end of Patriots Tom Brady was that it didn't look very good. Then he went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and said, "Oh, he figured out how to play football again." How you leave the sport sticks in a lot of players' minds, especially when you once were a great quarterback. So Ben, for the most part, most people, especially kids nowadays, most of them don't know who he is. But the last times he was in the playoffs, Patrick kicked his ass firmly out of the postseason.
Yeah, that's tough to live with. Sometimes that leaves a mark. Well, get used to it. Yeah, a lot of folks are not happy about this switch. I've been hearing about it all week, and they make decisions. Sometimes we live with them. Des, nice to see you, bud, and thanks for the support, as you always do. Which three rookies do you think the D will be best versus?
I'm trying to figure out the intention of this question, Des.
I'm guessing which three rookie quarterbacks do you think the defense will be best against?
Do they play three rookie quarterbacks this year?
That's what I was just trying to run down. If I'm interpreting that, Des, if we're misunderstanding the question, throw it in the chat real quick, please.
Yeah,
because I'm not sure they get three rookies. They are playing the Saints though, right? And I do think that will be shook. Who else?
I don't know, but maybe they're going to play a couple of rookies regardless in terms of running backs because each single team drafted a running back. So maybe he's talking about
maybe
the running backs that have been drafted in the division. So if that's not the intention of your question, again, go drop it in, but I'll kind of address it that way. I think RJ Harvey would be my number one guess. I think that was an overdrafted running back. He's fine, but he's a committee back in my opinion, fully full stop committee. I think they're going to have the toughest time with Amari Hampton. He's more explosive. He's more versatile. This is not shade to Ashton Genty. It's not, but he's not a very versatile running back. He's just not.
And he doesn't have the best line.
And they're going to use him one way between the tackles, because he can't run outside tackles. He just can't. Here, he did put it in here.
Oh, good. Oh, first round picks in general. Okay.
That's tough.
Damn, I gotta pull the schedule up again. Hold on.
Do they play the Titans this year? I'm sorry, guys. I don't have the schedule memorized.
I know. I'm getting it right now. Hold on. And I'll put it on screen here for everybody too.
There we go. I love that.
Gotta work.
They're gonna have some. Travis Hunter, if he plays on offense, which I'm assuming he will, he'll be up there. They'll have Jackson Dart if he is the quarterback for the Giants, which would be ridiculous if he is.
Jackson Dart. Sorry. I like that kid. He's not the greatest quarterback yet, but I think he's got a chance to mature.
They do play the Titans.
Okay. Giants. That should be an interesting.
Yeah, they got the Giants. They have the AFC South too. So you got Jaguars. You've got Cam Ward. Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting group of first round picks. So Tyler Warren could carve him up if Titans. If the defense still is susceptible to the tight end. If I had to guess, I would say the quarterbacks I'm not too worried about. I love Cam Ward, but I'm not that worried about him carving up the defense. The guy that probably does worry me the most is Tyler Warren. I'm not the hugest fan of Tyler Warren, but because of the Chiefs' issues with guarding tight ends in recent memory, that does strike a chord for me.
No, that's absolutely fair. We'll see how they fare, to tell you the truth. It'll be a battle, but thank you for the question. Appreciate you, Des, and thanks for the clarification too. Do you guys believe that Jake, the tight end from Clemson, will make noise in training camp? I believe the 53-man roster, I like route running ability. Yeah, and he is. I would put him, honestly, even all the way back to Ross Travis, probably the most like Travis Kelce in the way that he moves, in my opinion, that they've had in camp for quite a while.
Yeah, that's again. I'm not entirely sure why he wasn't drafted. NFL teams are going to have to ask me about that or tell me about that because it makes no sense to me about just watching his tape. I know a lot of other people maybe aren't as high on it, but in terms of upside, athletic ability, route running ability, understanding space, there's a reason he's in Kansas City. I think honestly, his zone understanding and zone recognition is one of the best parts about his game that Andy Reid is going to want to exploit. So if he's not on the roster, I would expect he gets picked up for someone's practice squad, and that would be hard to touch. But overall, I think he'll be the tight end 4 on this roster, and it wouldn't surprise me if Robert Tonyan is the tight end 3. Like, I think that
Yeah.
that might be how this ends up, because even if Jared Wiley is healthy, he's not a blocking tight end. So at the very least, I think that Tonyan is your tight end 3 in this roster right now, because they don't have anybody else that can block.
Yeah, that's fair. I just don't know if he can run. That's the question.
They don't need him to. Blake Bell couldn't run, and Andy Reid said, "Here you go."
True. Yeah. And just keep running them out there. Thanks, Brad. Swag, nice to see you. Do you guys think that Rodgers is more talented than Mahomes? I mean, this is the topic of the day. And if they were each at their peak, I would say it's in terms of arm strength, very close. In terms of command of an offense, very close. In terms of being somebody that is a leader that your team wants to follow, it's night and day. Nobody likes playing with Aaron Rodgers except for that tiny receiver that I can't remember his name, and Jordy Nelson. Beyond that, God, it's a guy I always forget. Other than that, no. Overall, I would not say. I would say, but Mahomes still has the edge, even peak to peak, let alone this year.
I think talent-wise, it's very close in terms of pure talent. Just the one thing that I think Patrick has above Aaron Rodgers is that while Aaron was still a good scrambler, Patrick is a deadly scrambler. He is a deadly scrambler, even for in this today's day and age with Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Josh Allen. He is still one of the most efficient and best scramblers in football. I think Aaron Rodgers could have been that, but he never was that good in terms of Patrick Mahomes level. But pure talent, yeah, they're on par with each other. But Patrick's just a better person. And now that we're getting late stage Aaron Rodgers, we have real confirmation of that nonsense.
Yeah. It's not close. KC, nice to see you, and thanks for the support, buddy. Hope you're having a good summer so far. What makes a patellar tendon tear particularly difficult to recover from compared to other knee injuries? And how is Simmons outperforming the expectations there? As you can tell, I'm very excited for him, as you should be.
Yes.
And I will tell you from a biomechanical standpoint, the difference is that, say, an ACL is structure of the joint. It has a groove that it functions in. It really holds the joint together so that it can flex and do this. The patellar tendon is what connects below, and all the shear force. Think of it like when you're towing something. You put a tow strap to get a guy out of a ditch, right? All that tension goes on the points that are weakest or have the most shear force put on them, and that's the patellar tendon. So once you fix it, it generally is not able to withstand the same thing or move the same way. But my personal opinion, and I don't have the medical charts, I'm only going off of what I've heard, is that it was not a complete tear. And so therefore part of it is still intact, which makes the recovery easier in that you're not, and this is the most blatant I can put it, literally screwing a piece of leather back down onto the bone if that's what you're doing in a full repair. It's route them out, but in the end, surgeons are carpenters. They are not, making super fun jewelry. You know what I mean? It's not that tough.
Ryan's the guy for that stuff. I know nothing about anything, so
it's always fun to have something. Thank you, Casey. Appreciate you. Swag, thank you. Do y'all think that if he is more talented, I could see the argument for both, but Rodgers was incredible. He was very good for a short time.
I think you're oversimplifying it. I really do. I understand it. He's not a likable person now. He did win 2 MVPs very recently. Like, we're not far removed from him winning 2 MVPs in the 2020s. Like, that did happen. You don't do that by accident. I understand, all the other stuff. I personally think he works best when he has a wide receiver that gets him. And that's kind of been shown throughout his career with Devontae Adams, Jordy Nelson, some of the guys that he works closely with. When he can throw the back shoulder, that's where he's best. Personally, I think Aaron Rodgers, when he can throw a back shoulder to the receiver and he will adjust and make it happen, that's when he's at his best, because that's when he really exploits it. Patrick doesn't need that. So I think that I'm no offense, Patrick's never asked to throw it. Like they just don't do it. It's not their thing. So again, I'm far more lenient with the Aaron Rodgers stuff because I am willing to accept he's very easily one of the most talented quarterbacks that has ever lived. Like I feel like that's obvious, but I also can't stand the human being. So
That's the thing. I just look at it from this point: playoff wins, conference championships, and Super Bowls.
for sure.
Yes, he has a ring. Yes. At the end of the day, that's what it's about. And whatever you're doing, if you're not doing more to get your team to that point, it's not really the thing for me. I'm old school. I'd rather stop the run game, in opinion, but I understand where Dan is coming from on the pass defense for the linebackers. It's yeah. I mean, I'm old school too, and I still struggle when Spags is just like, we ain't too worried about it. You know, it still bites me a little bit, but I get where they're coming from. You can get hurt more easily in this league in the past. It's just a fact. But someday. We need an MVP season from Pat, said Swag. Tired of the disrespect. He needs to go nuclear again.
I think this is funny, an interesting conversation. I think Patrick would love to win a ring where he was just still kind of mediocre stat wise. So he's like, hey guys, I have a team around me. Yeah, I can win. I can win games. I don't need to be the best out there all the time to win rings. And it's been true the past two of the last 3 seasons where he maybe wasn't the best statistical quarterback in the NFL. Maybe he wasn't playing his best. They still got there. I think he loves being able to shine light on his teammates, and that's what makes him a little bit different from some of the better quarterbacks that we've seen. I think you'll still get a great quarterback this year, but I'm not ruling out, a fantastic statistical season. I just don't think he cares. I don't think he cares.
He feels to me like he's at the point where, like, okay, I've seen this, I've done this, we've won. How about you guys take care of business and I just be an average quarterback? Let's see if we can win that way. Do I have to do everything around here?
And honestly, in the Super Bowls, Patrick doesn't necessarily play his best football. Let's be honest.
True.
Fourth quarters, overtime, he's been awesome. But for the most part, Patrick has not played his best football in Super Bowls.
Yeah, that's fair. And yeah, go scorched earth. Let's see it. Dan, I failed trying to slow cook a pork butt for 8 hours in my crock pot. Please tell me how to properly make good pulled pork. Well, get rid of the pot. That's all.
I don't think I would use it. I mean, if you don't have a choice, okay, you don't have a choice. That's fine. You got to find different ways to tenderize the meat using, whether it's what, whether it's broths or wrapping it and things like that in the crock pot itself. Outside looking into the conversation, I do imagine that it's a very weird topic to talk about. But if you can afford getting an instant pot, that's one thing I would do as well. Also, if you have an oven, you can always do it in the oven. Set it to 250, wrap it again, do the same thing. You can do it the same process. It might taste different. It's not going to have the smoke ring or anything like that as a smoker. But, no, I'm not talking about football. We had a food question. But it's all trial and error too. It's all trying to figure out what works. Like I've made a brisket, like a full brisket for the first time not too long ago, and it wasn't perfect, but you have to learn how to do it. And again, I would agree with Ryan. Try not to use the crock pot for a pork butt.
Yeah. There's something similar that I'm going to try. And that is a sous vide, because it's a similar concept. And if you're familiar with carnitas, the way that they do a pork butt there, in Mexico in particular, they cook it slow in a pot that is covered, but with some braising liquid. It tenderizes everything, and they take it out on a plancha and cook it to a sear so you get a crust. And it's not a smoked item, that's for sure. But that's another way that you could try to do it, is just keep it in a vessel for a while. Man, we should really be having this conversation on a different channel. That's a great idea, folks. The red zone is our real problem. How do we fix that? Well, I have 2 ideas. What do you think?
Well, the first is still continuing to roster Kareem Hunt because Kareem Hunt is your best option in the red zone, and he's been awesome. He's been fantastic at doing that. You want him in the crock pot? Yes. But also, the offensive line needs to block better in the red zone. They haven't blocked well in the red zone, not just in terms of the run game, but for the pass protection either. Patrick Mahomes is on. There's that. Okay. I'm going to get on a tangent here because all the time they're in the red zone and you get a Juwan Taylor penalty or you get a holding call here. There are so many mental errors that the Chiefs happen to execute in the red zone. You have to be on your P's and Q's all the time anyway. But in the red zone, it drastically changes the outcome of a play. Field is shorter. If you get a 10-yard penalty at the 50 or the 40-yard line, okay, fine. We have room to make up for that. But when the margins are slim like that, you can't afford to have a penalty. How many times last year did they get inside the 20 and then have to go back 10 yards because of a hold here or multiple flags for false starts? So it can be very, very, very frustrating to get to that point and then have to go all the way back, you know?
Your point directly ties in with mine. And my comment would be stop effing around. You don't need to make it so complex to get penalties. Either get to the point where you sack up and run straight ahead and power through people, or you run play action and you let them stack the box. If they think you're susceptible, they'll bring it in. Hit somebody. Stop with all the cutesy pie crap because it's been figured out and there's too many things that can break down on any given play.
I'm with you.
Thanks, Pepe. Appreciate you. One thing I would love to see in training games is to see Andy put in a game plan to throw down the seams for once. I happen to agree with you, Brad. I think Dan would be in favor as well.
What?
Is she going to make an appearance?
Shirt. S-U-R-E.
She can do it. I'm certain, Brad, that he would agree. He's got dad duty to do, though. And this is what he was talking about, too, Kevin. Why does Juwan Taylor have to false start and swim backwards and air block and block air? Do the coaches not work with him to change his technique? At his level in the league, there's not a whole lot of changing technique. It's about execution, right? He's always been a timer of the snap. Those false starts come with that kind of attack. He generally gives more ground than he has to, but you can try to teach an old dog new tricks. I'm guessing Andy Reid has probably tried to get him to just come off the line a little bit slower so that he doesn't give up quite as much vertical capacity to counter against, which I think is part of the problem. But how do you feel about it? You've watched his technique probably more closely than I have.
There's nothing they can do at this point. There's nothing because that's who he is. They knew that when they brought him over. He's been this way for a long time. So you have to kind of adapt to it or fail. And unfortunately, because of the way that the Chiefs operate and the way that Trey Smith plays, they're in an SOL situation. They don't have a choice. This is how it's going to be unless Trey Smith is a little bit, I guess, more at an angle in pass protection and isn't as close to Creed Humphrey. The big problem is that a lot of times you see him get off the ball, Juwan Taylor get off the ball so much, and Trey doesn't move because he's a guard and he doesn't have to get that deep. Problem. You see the greats overcome it because they have the power, that's timing with their strikes, like Lane Johnson, who's getting better at 35 years old, but he times the snaps as well. He gets out, but it's not necessarily a drop directly. It's out or it's an attack. It's not the same thing every single time. But Juwan Taylor has no attack, and defensive ends know exactly what he's going to do. So guess what? There's a giant B gap with their name on it, and they will attack it and attack it and attack it.
Yep. And I honestly feel like on his college film, he was beat a little bit inside pretty consistently. And so I think he moved away from the 45s because he felt he was giving up the inside. But now his verticality is so much that he gives up the inside for the same damn reason. It's just, you don't have to be so quick on the trigger. That's all I'm saying. And we are almost at the hour, folks. We're going to speed up here a little bit because Minotaur is approaching 4 years as our member.
Oh,
appreciate you, buddy.
Love to see it.
New house goofing. Glad to see you guys. A lot of work to do. Got to keep going. I just got a new house as well, my friend. I know the background looks similar. It's because I put it up here about 20 minutes before we started. So
There you go.
that is the goal. But I know how you feel. You keep burning at it, and you're going to get the job done. Appreciate you. Casey, thank you again. Besides the Eagles, which NFL team scares you the most? I know my answer.
It's the Commanders. It purely is the Commanders. I'm one of the biggest Dak Prescott fans you'll find. Cowboys don't scare me because of the Cowboys. At the end of the day, they're going to choke. Like they're just going to choke. I have no issues about that. Jaden Daniels does scare me. He can single handedly beat the Chiefs defense. He can, and that's a scary thing to watch.
Think about this. If you don't have Jaden Hicks on the field, what do you think Boss is there to do?
Yeah.
You think you have athleticism to take away somebody like him? Or if you say Jalen Hurts again, I mean, yeah, there are reasons that you want athleticism at the second level in particular. And I think that's part of it. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. It's week 8, folks. Week 8 against the Commanders is going to be a telling part of this season.
It'll be fun.
45. If you were the general manager, which player would you sign, keep, or trade and cut? Sign, keep, or trade and cut? Head coach, and what would you change on the offense to help this team? After you.
Oh, that's a loaded question, 45. No pun intended. Do you this kind of
ACP?
let's kind of take this in two ways. So I'll take the first part of the question. I'm going to sign Trent McDuffie. 100%. So I think sign and keep we'll just kind of put in the same bucket. Well, we're going to sign Trent McDuffie. I'm going to trade George Karlaftis, and I don't know who I'm going to cut. Like that's actually no, never mind. I'm going to cut Shamari Connor. That's what I would do if I would be honest right now. That's what I would do.
Jamari catching strays out here.
And that's what it is. And again, I appreciate what he does for this defense, but if I'm the GM, I think he's too in between for me specifically.
Okay. I can see that. I would probably sign / keep. I would go after, got to get trade done first. I'm cutting Sky Moore, and I'm trading. Christ, I don't know. Jalen Watson.
That's fair.
I don't know.
That's fair.
What are you
Starting
gonna do?
experience, who's healthy now? Yeah, it's fair.
No, only one of those guys that has some value, right? And you have the rookie, you have CRW, you have some guys back there. I don't know. Probably should have done offense, but it is what it is. Thank you, 45. Freeman, nice to see you. I don't have a lot of faith in Wiley, in his ceiling, and that was even before the injury. Where do y'all see his floor and ceiling end up being? And I think you nailed this before, Dan, but reiterate.
I was never a big fan of Jared Wiley's tape. One, the fact that he went from Texas to TCU and still didn't produce. When you go down in competition level and you still can't produce, this speaks a lot to me specifically. But I'm not there. I don't think he's going to make this roster. So for me, I think his floor is a practice squad player, and his ceiling is tight end 4. I don't see very much there for him.
Okay. I don't think that question comes up. I think he's on the pup. I don't think it even comes to a cut question, to tell you the truth. And who knows what he can become? I don't anymore. So it is what it is. Thank you, Freeman. I just wanted to point this one out because this is funny. Leave it to FLDB to actually notice the thermostat behind Dan on the wall.
It's funny enough, we had an Ecobee at when we lived in Omaha, but when we moved to Missouri, we lived on base, so we couldn't use it. But this is my in-laws' house, so I'll let them know that you think it's nice.
Well done, Frank. This is follow to the food question. And Alex, I will tell you a hack that I used to do before I got an actual smoker. And I went back after I had a smoker side by side to a unitasker as well. You can, if you did, especially if you have the old Webers that have both the bottom vent and the top, you can load it with charcoal. Go get good lump charcoal. Don't use briquettes, and put some actual wood chunks in there, and you can turn that into a decent smoker. It's not great, but it'll work. You just got to control the air in and out. That's the big thing. You want to aim for 225 is what I do. You go a little bit hotter, Hyundai.
It depends on what you're smoking, but I mean, for everything bigger, like pork butt, like brisket, you want to go low and slow. If you can control a charcoal grill that you're again making into a makeshift smoker, it's more difficult to control. But if you can get it in that 225, 250 range, you do have a workable smoker, and it is possible. I've seen there's lots of videos on YouTube that can help you figure that out too.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe we should produce one, Dan. It's probably
a good idea
for the other channel. So, folks, we're going to be renaming the other channel if you haven't guessed yet. It'll be taking shape. I have some stuff shot for it. I just haven't edited it up. So we're going to launch hopefully in the fall, but we'll see, and we'll give you some of these tips. Kurt, we're going to end with you tonight, buddy. Thank you all for being here. Make sure you subscribe if you are not already, and if you want to get the memberships and get all those perks and stuff like Kurt does, you can do that, and it's down below. Dan, get in the Discord, get all the good ones. If Simmons is the starter at left tackle, how long of a leash does Jawaan Taylor have? That is a very good question, and
this is the question.
I will tell you, it has nothing to do with Jawaan Taylor. I will tell you it has to do with how well Jay Moore can jump over to the other side and get comfortable, because he has played left behind Trent Williams for a very long time, right? I don't know if he can flip over or how quickly he can. I know he can do it. I just don't know how fast that transition could come.
I would be willing to bet you will see Jalen Moore play right tackle in camp as second team. I'd be willing to bet that right now. And I'm telling you, if, again, he plays well in camp and the transition looks good, there will be a very, very, very small leash on Jawaan Taylor. If he does not improve, if the penalties happen again, guess what? We have a backup and guy who can play better than you. I'll be very honest. Is going to be a better run blocker. And he's not going to leave a giant B gap. And they know it. And guess what? If that doesn't get the best out of Jawaan Taylor, doesn't matter how much you pay him. He's not going to play better. So you sit him down and you play Jalen Moore.
You are absolutely right. If you can't get motivated, I got nothing for you. That's just what it comes down to. All right. Thank you all for being here. Dan, thank you for joining from the road. I appreciate it. And thank your family for giving us the time.
Oh, yeah, you guys. We got to do what we got to do, right? This doesn't stop. I love doing these with you guys. And obviously, the fact that it's been on and off with Ryan and me for the last month or so, I wanted to give you guys a stream that we're both here for.
Yeah, I appreciate you. We're going to have some fun. We know it's the dead time, but don't worry. We got it all covered. We're going to have our previews and all the stuff. And these shows, the Q&As, are going to drive a ton. So keep the questions coming. Join us on Monday nights. We're not going anywhere. Have a good one, and thank you for being here tonight. We'll catch you tomorrow. We're going to have something from me. We're going to have something from Gary. We got it all coming this week, so tune in, and we'll see you then.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more, and subscribe to RGR Football.